Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. We'll start with the headlines. Israel continues its unabated aggression on the Gaza Strip despite growing pressure for a ceasefire. Mortar rounds are fired at military posts in Egypt's northern Sinai, killing a soldier and 7 civilians. And U.S.-Iranian talks are held for a second day in Vienna to narrow differences on Tehran's nuclear program. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in details. The Research Council signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Public Authority for Investment Promotion and Export Development. It is to promote the Research Council's services in developing products and researches that help the Sultanate in becoming a sophisticated research center that attracts the attention of various scientists, researchers, and companies from around the world. It also includes promoting Innovation Complex Muscat to enhance the prestige of the Sultanate as a destination for investment in research and the Research Council and its ongoing services and projects. The MOU was signed by His Highness Sayyid Shihab bin Tariq Al Saeed, advisor to His Majesty the Sultan, Chairman of the Research Council, and His Excellency Dr. Salim bin Nasser Al Ismaili, Chairman of the Public Authority for Investment Promotion and Export Development. The Special Economic Zone Authority in Duqm today signed at Knowledge Oasis Muscat a Memorandum of Understanding with the National Bank of Oman for providing facilities to potential investors in the zone. It was signed by His Excellency Yahya bin Saeed al-Jabri, Chairman of the Special Economic Zone Authority in Duqm, and Mohammed bin Mahfouz al-Ardi, Chairman of National Bank of Oman. The signing of the memorandum came within the efforts made by the Special Economic Zone Authority in Duqm to attract more investors to the region. It will encourage investors to invest in the zone and will provide potential investors with benefits as well as incentives. The Environment Society of Oman today signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Oman Oil Company and at Duqm Port to support a program for protecting marine turtles in Masira Island. The project aims at collecting data about the nesting of turtles, qualifying and training field assistants, as well as communication with the local community through awareness and education campaigns. Israel said it shot down a drone from Gaza a week into its offensive today, the first reported deployment of an unmanned aircraft by Palestinian fighters, whose rocket attacks have been regularly intercepted. Hamas, the group which runs Gaza, said its armed wing had sent several drones to carry out special missions deep inside Israel. More than 169 Palestinians, most of them civilians, have been killed in 7 days of fighting that has shown no sign of ending. Israeli aircraft and naval gunboats attacked 204 targets in the Gaza Strip overnight in the worst flare-up in Israeli-Palestinian violence in almost 2 years. Health officials said at least 20 people were wounded. Palestinians fire more than 20 rockets into Israel, causing no casualties. A UN aid agency said around a quarter of Beit Lahiya's 70,000 residents have fled deeper into the Gaza Strip. Al-Mizan, a Gaza-based Palestinian human rights group, said 869 Palestinian homes have been destroyed or damaged in Israeli attacks over the past week. Meanwhile, Israeli troops shot dead a Palestinian man during clashes with stone throwers in the occupied West Bank today, as tensions mounted over Israel's military offensive in Gaza. Israel also detained dozens of Palestinians overnight in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Arab League Council at the level of foreign ministers will hold an emergency meeting later today to discuss the deteriorating situation in the Gaza Strip due to continued Israeli aggression on the Strip. Arab League Secretary General Nabil Al-Arabi demanded the international community represented in the UN Security Council to provide protection for the UN unarmed Palestinian people and to work for ending the Israeli occupation of Gaza and all the Palestinian territories and for the establishment of the independent Palestinian state on the basis of the 1967 borders. In a statement today, Al-Arabi pointed that Israeli acts are contrary to all the rules of international humanitarian law and constitute war crimes which perpetrators should be brought to justice. 7 fighters from the Lebanese group Hezbollah were killed in fighting with insurgents in a mountainous area on the Syria-Lebanon border, in which at least 16 rebels were also killed. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights and opposition-affiliated watch group said a further 31 fighters from Hezbollah had been wounded in the fighting in the border area between Ras al-Marra in Syria and Arsal in northeast Lebanon. A Lebanese security official and a source close to Hezbollah said at least 2 Hezbollah fighters and 27 rebels had been killed in the fighting that erupted yesterday. The observatory said Hezbollah had captured 14 fighters from groups including the Nusra Front, Al-Qaeda's official affiliate in the Syrian war. 2 car bombs struck Baghdad today, killing 6 people and wounding a dozen others. The explosion occurred as the government of Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki battles insurgents who have taken over large parts of northern and western Iraq and threatened the capital. The first bomb exploded in the central district of Alawi, killing 3 people and wounding 6. The second struck in the western neighborhood of Baiya, also killing 3 people. Militants in Egypt's northern Sinai fired mortar rounds last night at a military post in the provincial capital of El Arsh, killing a soldier as well as 7 civilians, including 2 children, in a nearby residential complex. Investigators were examining the scene of the attack in the early hours this morning. A senior security official said the attack hit the military post, killing 1 soldier. The military post is located near a compound of residential buildings in the As-Salam district. The main security headquarters and the local government offices are also located in the same area. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met his Iranian counterpart today for his second day to push for critical choices on Tehran's nuclear program, with both sides complaining that scant progress has been made ahead of a July 20th deadline. Kerry and Mohammad Javad Zarif met for 2 hours yesterday on the sideline of talks between Iran and 6 major negotiating powers, with a deadline for a deal just a week away. Zarif said after his meeting with Kerry that their team is ready to work with full speed during the 7 remaining days in order to reach a comprehensive deal that can be acceptable for both sides. And still to come in our news bulletin. An apartment overlooking Lyon's River Saône is covered from floor to ceiling with paintings, sculptures, designs, and textiles. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The Military College of Technology prepares to receive its second batch of students of graduates of General Diploma for the current year. The college provides diploma and bachelor's degrees in 4 specializations, namely IT, aviation, marine and civil engineering. It was also distinguished by merging academic education with military training so as to provide the students with information as well as necessary military skills. The college has a number of establishments in addition to educational and training equipment, as well as laboratories and workshops. It also has big buildings to house students and employees. A number of male and female people from various countries gathered in Ibri Castle, aiming to promote tolerance and religious coexistence among the various cultures. The gathering sought to highlight the religious values such as cooperation and respect. The gathering witnessed a good attendance from citizens of the Governorate of Dhahira as well as from different nationalities, and took together a meal at the fast-breaking iftar time. The attendees expressed their happiness in this Ramadan spiritual atmosphere. The Holy Quran Memorizing and Study Center in Samad al-Shan in the Wilaya of Mudaybi attracted a number of students during summer vacation. The center aimed to teach students the Holy Quran with reciting as well as grammar, jurisprudence and other related subjects. It also aims to spread a message that instill good values among students in addition to enhance their capabilities in various fields. The center also witnessed other cultural and social activities among an active participation from students. It's worth mentioning that students are being taught by skilled teachers specialized in various fields. The participants expressed that the experience was beneficial for them as the motivation continues from organizers of the center. Continuing its rise for the 15th session, Muscat Securities Markets General Index recorded a rise today by 7,191 points, and after trading 19.242 million shares, the total cost of which reached around 6.78 million Omani Riyals. Local investors bought 83% of shares. The value of shares bought by non-Omani investors reached more than 1.18 million Omani Riyals. The net non-Omani investment declined by 9.88%. Now, this may not look like everyone's apartment building, but this is home for Sylvie Garguet. For the past 4 years, she's transformed this apartment overlooking Lyon's River Saône into a fully functioning art space. It's named Raconte Arts, which literally means tell the arts, and is covered from floor to ceiling with paintings, sculptures, designs, and textiles. They also hold concerts here with live performances and storytelling. Garguet's initial idea for this unique style of pop-up gallery started around 20 years ago when she was a student and part-time gallery owner. She found it was mainly art collectors who went to see her art space, so she decided to try and make art more accessible to everyone. The first big step came 7 years ago when she created the concept Raconte Arts in southern France. The gallery is open by appointment all year round with 2 or 3 major exhibitions a year. The governorate of Dhofar witnesses these days the Kharif atmosphere and beautiful weather. 18 Plains is one of the important places for the tourists during the season. Most of the tourists and the citizens of the governorate have their iftar, breaking fast, and dinner on the plains. It's worth mentioning that the mountains of the governorate have become green these days with continuation of drizzle fall on the mountains, valleys, and plains. It's expected that the number of tourists will increase this year to enjoy nature's beauty, as the Salala Tourism Festival will start on the second day of Eid al-Fitr. The statistics indicated that more than 433,000 tourists visited the governorate during the last Kharif season. Now here are the Ramadan times for tomorrow. Fajr prayers will be at 4:04 a.m. and the Maghrib prayers will be at 7:02 p.m. And now for the general weather forecast. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the governorate of Dhofar and nearby mountains with chance of intermittent drizzle. The rest of the Sultanate will have clear to partly cloudy skies with chances of scattered rain, occasionally thunderous, accompanied by gusts of winds over parts of the Hajar Mountains during the afternoon. Winds will be southerly to southwesterly, moderate to active along the coast of the Arabian Sea, while it will be southerly to southeasterly, light to moderate in the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coastal areas of the Arabian Sea will be rough with a maximum wave height of 4 meters, and along the rest of the coast it will be moderate with a maximum wave height of 2 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Israel continues its unabated aggression on the Gaza Strip despite growing pressure for a ceasefire. Mortar rounds are fired at the military post in Egypt's northern Sinai, killing a soldier and 7 civilians. And US-Iranian talks are held for a second day in Vienna to narrow differences on Tehran's nuclear program. With that, we come to an end to tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studio, good night.